Hello, this is Ben, and I want to introduce you to form and field validation in the Yansa design system. Now, field validation is something we've been accustomed to having in the standard ServiceNow interface on forms and catalog items. We have things like UI policies that enable us to set whether a field is required and do some validation around inputs on a field. This is not something we easily have in Service Portal, so we've made that a lot simpler for you in YDS. Let me show you how to set this up. So we can come to the Yansa design system documentation site. Let's just search for validation. There we go, form and field validation. So I will start by just copy and pasting some of this code into an empty widget I have sitting over here. Put a little bit of JavaScript. This is just a list of months for a select box I'm going to set up. And more importantly, here's the HTML. Now let's drop this in and save it. And I'm going to explain a little bit about what's going on here. So now let me put some space in between some of these fields so we can see them more clearly. Now if we look, we have a simple form here. And the first input on the form is just a select box where we're asking the user to input a month. The second is an input where we're asking for a year, and then finally a submit button. Now the important thing to notice here is that we're adding this YDS validate attribute on each of these fields. Once we add this, it's the validation library, the YDS, then we can start to do things like ng required, ng min length, ng max length, and more to validate the inputs that the user is adding to these fields. And now once we are doing this, we can also do some more intelligent stuff on the form. We can start to look like, is this entry valid for this particular input or also for the form at large? And so for instance here we can show a little warning if it's not valid, or we can disable a submit button if it's not valid. That gives us a lot of power around not just validating the entries that the user is putting in, but also to display things and to kind of guide the user and take out the guesswork for the entries they're putting on a form. So let me show you what it looks like in action here. So here we have this form. These are both required. And so we can see they're required. We have a little red asterisk here. So I can go ahead and choose a month, and that satisfies this one. Then I come down here, and if I start putting in a year, say a two digit, it's going to warn me this must be 4 digits. So we're actually helping the user out there. So once I finally add a 4-digit field, I'll see that not only did I satisfy this field, but if you look down here, the submit button is grayed out. Once I satisfy the entire form, the submit button now opens up for me. So this is cool, but the cooler thing is that not only is this just for simple selects and inputs, this actually works for our date time pickers, for radio buttons, checkbox groups, any number of other types of inputs that are included in the YDS. And so let me set up a checkbox group and show you what that looks like. Okay, so now we're back, and I've just added a checkbox group. Totally random data, nothing to do with our form, but you can see I've added our checkbox group here, and I've set YDS validate and ng required equals true. Now if I come back, we'll see we now have 3 required fields. The checkbox group is also required. So now if I come along and I enter in satisfactory entries on these two, I've satisfied them, but this checkbox group is still required, and the submit button is still grayed out. As soon as I start to add things to the checkbox group, we satisfy that, and now the entire form is able to submit. So you can see this gives us the ability to make really intelligent, kind of rich user experiences around field entries, which in turn opens up the ability to kind of make richer applications and richer experiences in Service Portal, more like the standard ServiceNow interface. You can put some real power in these widgets. And so we hope you find this useful, and we're excited to see what you guys do with this. Thanks a lot.